Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is we try to bring about psychological, emotional, and mental health related topics on a regular basis, sometimes daily, at least several times per week, and we do that for your edification. Also, if you're looking for support in making changes in your life, both personally, professionally, spiritually, or in any other way, would love to, or habitually, would love to be of service to you in that way. And so if you're looking for coaching, would love to connect with you. A couple ways to do that. You can reach out through Twitter at PO Perception or in the About Me section of this YouTube page. Either way, we'll get you in touch with me or a member of my team, and we can go from there. This particular audio is about the dark side or the hard side of being an introvert. Obviously, introversion is the desire to have minimal social contact and or to be more reserved. A lot of people are this way, and there isn't necessarily a good or bad versus being introvert, extrovert, or ambivert, but there are some traits that make it harder to live life as an introvert, just as there are for the other portions of the personality archetype of extrovert or ambivert. So the first is an introvert is less likely to build alliances and teams. This is because self-reliance is one of the key components of introversion. Relying on other people becomes extremely difficult for these individuals. This ultimately leads to self-reliance becoming a main focus of how they relate with the world. Now, this can be a great thing, except when a person is struggling to have the support network they need and or have the social or professional or personal connections needed to achieve goals that require community support. And so if a person is trying to, have a deeper healthier relationship with themselves and thereby their community and social connective, the non-team mentality can often be extremely difficult to overcome. The next is the introvert tends to overthink, and so repetitive thinking is one of those things that can get us caught in a thought loop where we lose hours, days, months, or even years of our lives around certain black and white thinking related challenges. Now, this doesn't necessarily make a person a bad person per se. However, if an individual is constantly in the loop of overthinking, it becomes harder for them to achieve life goals personally, professionally, spiritually, or emotionally, and therefore it's more likely for them to struggle with things like anxiety, depression, social isolation, self-criticism, because the overthinking causes them to believe, falsely often, that they have all the answers to the situations that are in front of them. They are struggling with the various things that are there. The next thing that happens is self-deception. So self-deception happens because a person will tell themselves a grandiose lie, like, I have this under control, I don't need anybody, I'm good on my own, I'm happier than I am. And all of these, over an extended period of time, weeks, months, or years, can lead to an internal narrative that isn't true to who a person actually is or what their needs portfolio is. So self-deception becomes almost a lifestyle as it relates to, how a person relates with the rest of the world. And before they know it, they've got an identity crisis to say the person they portray themselves to be, the person they think they are, and the person they want to be are at three different points of intersection, which ultimately leads to a good deal of challenges for a number of reasons, because the person A isn't living authentically, B, they'll often feel emotionally and mentally off balance, like something's wrong, C, they're always going to try and course correct, which leads to more overthinking and creates different reactions in the brain, and then D, there's a lack of personal and professional and emotional fulfillment, which leads to challenges there. The next is an introvert's more likely to hide their emotions. Now, this happens for a number of reasons. Everything from believing that they don't have someone that will listen, to believing someone will criticize them if they're honest, to having difficulty finding ways to verbally express the emotion, to fear of rejection. All of these are things that an introvert will struggle with when trying to have a more balanced emotional experience. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean they can't overcome this, but oftentimes it takes an outside source, a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a minister, a coach, to bring out within a person a permission within themselves to express their emotions more continually and more, consistently. The next thing there is pessimism. Because an introvert has more time spent thinking, reflecting, self realization, kind of problem solving internally, they are going to have a natural leaning towards being pessimistic because they've thought everything through to often very minute details. Therefore, the only thing that they'll focus on is two things. Number one, the quickest way to get to the solution, and number two, the problems that will or could possibly arise. In the effort to protect oneself from negative consequence, the habit of pessimism becomes more likely. The next thing is, and the last thing is, they're more likely to disappear. When an introvert becomes overwhelmed or socially overstimulated, they're more likely to go into periods of personal disappearance. Now, this could be something like ghosting, this could be something like not answering phone calls or emails, or this could be something like not keeping their scheduled appointments. Oftentimes, this is because they don't know how to or have struggles with emotional regulation, which ultimately then leads to challenges as it relates to finding ways to behave differently for the future. And it doesn't necessarily mean the person is bad or good. It doesn't necessarily mean the person is strong or weak. It just means that they have to find within themselves some level of balance in that way. So hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.